Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Our Voice 360, Our Perspectives, Our Ways. I'm Chad Bumgarner, one half of the duo here, and I have with me my man Pete Hunt.
What's good, family?
Hey, and with that, Pete, let's go ahead and get into it. It's been a long time.
I know, right? And as always, our podcast is brought to you by CDB Consulting. Great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?
And also, folks, if there's something you want to hear about a particular topic, or if you want to let us know how we're doing or what we can do to make the podcast better for you, please do not hesitate to contact us at our email address at ourvoice360@gmail.com. That's ourvoice360@gmail.com. All right, we're getting into it today. Two hot topics, guys. Of course, everybody's talking about the Roe versus Wade situation, how it got overturned by the Supreme Court.
Right.
And now the United States is in an uproar. As always, we're divided on this topic. Not Pete and I, but the United States of America is heavily divided on this topic. So we're going to jump into that, and then we're also going to roll into the situation out in Tempe, Arizona, where a brother by the name of I think Bickens was his last name, Michael Bickens. That could be it. I'm not sure. Sean Bickens, excuse me. How the Tempe, Arizona police just allowed him to drown in the river. Did not make any effort to save him. Matter of fact, they told him, we're not jumping in after you. But it's funny because, well, not funny, but it's sad because a week later, they saved a drowning dog.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
They saved the drowning dog, but they would not save this brother who was drowning in the lake. So we're going to touch on that as well. So, all right, Pete, let's get into it. So, Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. This law has been in effect over 50 years, roughly?
Yeah, 1973.
Since 1973.
Right.
The court voted in, the vote was 5-4 in favor of overturning Roe. So it is no longer a federal law, a protective federal law for women to have an abortion or not. Now it is left up to the states. So the states determine whether or not a woman can have an abortion or not, and any kind of guidelines that may or may not go with those laws. Now, already there have been several states, specifically southern states, that have already put laws in place about abortion, saying that you cannot have an abortion. Now, I think there's one out in the Midwest or out west state, I can't remember which one, that was saying you cannot have one unless it's incest or rape. I think it was Montana or one of those states out there that did that. But for the most part, most states are saying no.
Yeah, under any circumstance.
Under any circumstance,
you can't have an abortion.
So, like I said earlier in the intro, it's a huge uproar in America about this decision. I'm noticing in this article, it says at least 21 states have laws or constitutional amendments already in place that would make them certain to attempt to ban abortions as quickly as possible, according to the Guttmacher Institute, which favors abortion rights. And an additional 4 states are likely to ban abortions as soon as possible without federal protections. So it's honestly, I don't do much talking about the abortion rights because I have a penis. And my thing is,
there it is.
My thing is, I'm not carrying the child. I'm not giving birth to the child. This is about a woman's right to do what she wants with her body. And you have a bunch of older white men and women trying to make that law for them. So you're taking away their rights to do what they want with their body. First and foremost, with me, Pete, I feel like no male should even be in the room discussing this topic.
Exactly.
That's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. And Pete and I did not discuss this specifically off the air. So I wasn't sure how Pete was going to go, what angle he was going to come back with, or whatever. But I, being married with 3 daughters, this is, as you know, is going to be a huge topic and a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for us to speak on. And I have my oldest is 19, so she has a grasp of it. But my two younger ones, even though they're way young, well, I shouldn't say way young, 14 and 11, they still need to be made aware of what's going on in the
Exactly.
country that they live in, and
Exactly.
what rules are set in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like it's a sad day in America. I respect other people's opinions who are not like mine. I do respect your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And we can agree to disagree all day long.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what should make you mature about having these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But since this is Pete and my podcast, we're going to discuss our opinion.
Right.
And I really feel like we're starting to become more of a dictatorship.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
This country is becoming a theocracy. That's what it's doing. And I mean, you know, they talk about the Muslim faith and other faiths as being strict against women, but guess what? The Muslim faith allows abortion. The Judaism allows abortion. You know, I mean, you know, in their faith. So I mean, it's only the Christian faith, or it's not even the white and evangelicals who are on this kick about abortion.
Right.
And what's funny to me, Chad, is this: you care about the baby in the womb, but you do everything in your power when the child is outside of the womb not to help the child or the mother.
Right. So if you got moms who are on tough times and may be single, the system that's set up in place to help them is the very system that a lot of Republicans condemn and want to restrict. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's like, well, they need to work and they need to get off their lazy behinds and they need to do this. And it's like, okay, well, if they're working 1 or 2 jobs, who's taking care of the kids?
Right.
Who's rearing the kids?
It's extremely hypocritical by especially the pro-lifers in Congress, and it's funny to me how, like I said, they're doing all of this for an unborn child, and then when the child gets outside of the womb, the child is born, you do everything in your power to not help the child or the mother. So you want women to, you know, first of all, you're taking their control of their autonomy of their body. First of all. Second of all, you're giving them no out as far as rape, incest, health of the mother,
right?
You know, because, you know,
health of the child. What if there's an issue with the right?
Exactly, health of the child. You know, because like I said, there may be something wrong with the child in the womb. So there's no outlet. So when the child is, whether the mother dies or not, because if the mother dies, the child is going to die. If that's a situation where the mother is having complications. So there's 2 people dead right there. If you consider this unborn child human, you know what I'm saying? A human entity. Okay. And then you're going to tell, say, 11-year-old girl who gets raped by a classmate or raped by her uncle, or you want that 11-year-old child to carry this baby
to term and have
it.
And she hasn't even dealt with the trauma of being raped yet.
Exactly. So then you have hundreds of thousands of children that needs adoption. So are you going to, because you know what's going to happen, Chad? A lot of these children that are being born are going to be put into the system.
And see, let me say real quick, Pete, because I said something earlier, and I don't want the women hearing this podcast to think I'm sexist or chauvinist. When I was saying earlier about if you got to work 1 or 2 jobs, who's going to rear the kid? I'm not saying you can't work and take care of your child. What I'm saying is the programs that are in place to help single moms who are down on their luck, most Republicans are trying to restrict those programs. So it's going to be even tougher for those moms to get those programs to help them, in essence, for rearing their kids. Like, for instance, WIC. or any other program that can, kind of help them get on their feet. So that's what I meant by that. I didn't mean that they couldn't work and raise a child, because a lot of moms are doing it. Let's just be real.
Oh, for sure.
But I wanted to reiterate that, because I didn't want women to think that I was thinking that way. But it's more along the lines of what you were saying. It's like when they bring the child into the world, they're not thinking about how to help the child. And like you also said, a lot of these kids may wind up, or probably will wind up, going up for adoption. So now or foster care. So now foster care and adoption is really going to boom the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years because of this law. So now you're going to have a bunch of kids in the system. And let's face it, the system in general has not really been that great for these kids.
Exactly, especially in the adoption and foster care areas. It's not set up for them to succeed, actually, if you really look at it. If they're not adopted, and a lot of people here in the U.S. are adopting children from other countries,
right?
Instead of adopting children here that's born in the United States,
which I don't understand. Yeah,
which therein lies another problem. So again, you've put all of these things in place as far as getting rid of abortion and leaving it to the states. And the majority of these states, especially the southern states, are, it's blanket, we're not giving you any out as far as abortion. You get raped, incest, whatever the case may be, you're going to carry this baby to term. We don't care if it affects your health or the baby's health, you're going to carry this baby to term. And then the baby is born and you don't have universal health care.
Right. That's another thing. Yeah.
There's no universal health care. There's a formula shortage right now. I mean, there's a baby formula shortage. So what are we going to do about that? You see what I'm saying? The like you said, the WIC program, the welfare programs that help mothers and fathers, rear their children. What about that? Now you don't want to give kids free lunch for school. These same pro-life people go against once the baby is born, go against everything against the baby.
Pete, you're making some really good points, because I don't think we've even as a country have gotten that far yet. People are still in the uproar because of the fact that it was a slap in the face to women in aspect of their rights. But I don't think they've calmed down enough to even think through the points that you just said. Now you're going to have a bunch of kids in the system that don't have good health care because they don't want to give them health care. They don't want to give them free lunch. So they're going to school. How are they going to eat? You know what I'm saying? And it's a snowball effect. And whatever think tank was on this decision, they need to be fired.
And Chad,
because it's more of it was more of a desperation pride thing than it was to, okay, let's look at this thing all the way through. What's the pros and cons? What's the ripple effects?
No, this is not about
what's the if then.
There's no. This is about white people being the minority in this country, and
fearful of being
fearful of being the minority, and white men wanting to keep power. I mean, it's really funny that we're not talking about any kind of the male body autonomy. We're not talking about men. They're not making no laws about men getting vasectomies.
No, we're entitled.
Or men can only have so many kids, or whatever the case may be. This is all about white evangelical men wanting to control the bodies of all women. That's what it boils down to. It boils down to power.
Particularly white women, because they need their numbers up.
Exactly. And what these people don't realize is, 60%, 55-60% of the abortions are white women.
That's right.
And that's why they're doing, like I said, that's why they're doing this, because, we got to keep our numbers up.
And, I've talked to several black women that I know personally and just off the rip. And and I agree with them, but I still wanted to hear it. It's not in our culture a lot of times, let me say, to abort a child. Outside of, you know what I'm saying, the rape and incest and things of that nature. But I'm just saying in general, you know, when a woman of color or a black woman is pregnant, they carry the baby to term, they have the baby, you know, whatever.
I mean, look, where's Shaniqua? We sent her down south. She down there with grandma. We all know what that means.
Yeah.
We all know what that means. That baby's 16 and she done got pregnant.
That's right.
But
start her life over.
But she, you know, she down there with grandma and them, but she gonna have a baby.
That's first and foremost. Yes, she's gonna have a baby.
She gonna have a baby, but you know, she had to leave for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we all know what that means.
Yes, sir.
So again, this is about power. This is a power struggle. White evangelical men feel that they have to control the bodies of all women, and then they see that they're really soon they're going to be the minority.
What I cram to understand, no pun intended. Shout out to MC Light.
I know that's right.
Is how white women, the ones that agree with this, how can they agree with this? How can you agree with the state government now telling you what you can and cannot do with your body when it comes to reproduction?
Because it's all about maintaining the patriarchy. When it comes to, you know, and this is my opinion,
of course,
when it comes to, you know, some white women, I'm not going to say all, they would rather stand with the white patriarchy than stand for what's right. You see what I'm saying? Because
is that out of fear?
Of course.
You think that's out of okay?
Of course, because to keep the
but they hold the power though.
They keep the upper hand on. They really don't. The white men have the white men have the power.
The power's between their legs.
The white men, not really, because if you really look at it, Chad, who are making all these decisions as far as women's autonomy? White men, outside of, you know, Clarence, okay, and Amy Coney, Coney Barrett,
they just got put on,
yeah.
So, real side note, a quick side note: Trump did exactly what he came in office to do.
Of course, he got the 3 justices.
He got those 3 justices. Yep.
So now, if you really look at it from the white woman's perspective, it's, you know, I would rather have the advantage over the rest of these women and uphold the white patriarchy than be with and help these other women of other cultures. I saw a quote on Twitter right before we got on, and basically what it was saying was, and it was talking about what we're talking about now about, you know, white women as far as, you know, helping other cultures of women, and basically it said, I want to be the dog closest to master. It doesn't matter if I'm still a dog and still under master.
Right.
I'm the closest dog to master. You see what I'm saying?
That sounds like a similar phrase from
and not calling women dogs or anything like that.
No. I get the analogy.
And this was coming from a white woman on Twitter, and she was like, basically, that's what it is. You know, they want to be the closest to master, and forget. And like I said, this is not every white woman, but a lot of them. Yeah. A lot of white women would. I mean, if you look at the 2016 election and 2020 election, 2016, 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. Grabbing by the coochie.
Educated.
Grabbing by the coochie. If my daughter wasn't my daughter, I would be dating her right now.
Right.
All of that stuff. I mean, all of that stuff, you know, the multiple wives, the baby mamas, the abortions that he had.
Right.
It made his wife and other women have. I mean, so they were cool with that.
That's true.
as long as, to uphold white patriarchy.
That's true.
And then even in 2020, it went up 2%. So it went from 53% to 55% in 2020.
Right.
White women voting for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the proof is in the pudding. So I mean, and that's what it's about. I mean, if you want to call allies, if that's what you want to call them, are there some out there? Sure. We're not saying that, all, but
right.
To be real, let's be honest about this. To uphold white patriarchy, that's why they would vote for a Donald Trump and instead of a Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or whoever the case may be.
Well, like I said, that analogy you gave off of Twitter from the white lady, to me, it sounds close, similar to the quote that J. Edgar Hoover gave years ago when he was talking about, if we can just get the lower class whites to believe that they're better than blacks, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it boils down to. Is I can be lower class white, but as long as I ain't a black person, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I can be a dog, but as long as I'm the dog closest to master than any other dog, I'm good.
Yeah, and it's and again, that's what it basically boils down to. And again, if you really look at the Republican Party before the white evangelical Christian became their focal point, before they switched, they were a pro-choice people. And then they went to the white evangelical, let them take over their party, and then it flipped on its head. So again, this is about white evangelical Christians wanting power over this country, which again, this is becoming a theocracy. And this was the first domino to fall, Chad. This is the first one. So now, I mean, Clarence Thomas told us that's why everybody's going after Clarence Thomas, which is funny to me. You know how black folks say, even though we don't like Clarence Thomas, the majority of black folk don't like Clarence Thomas.
Right.
I'm about tired of you blaming this black man for all of this because it was 4 other white folk that was on this too. Well, actually 5 other white people. But now everybody's focused on Clarence Thomas. Now, as the saying we do now, I can talk about my sister. I know she ain't nothing. You can talk about my brother. I know he ain't nothing, but I can talk about it, but you can't.
I can talk about you can't.
You can't. Yeah. That's the situation we're in now because everything is about, Clarence Thomas said this, Clarence Thomas said that, but
he had the spotlight on him. He had the spotlight on him before this because with the insurrection and his wife and the things that she did. So this right here adding to it don't really help his case. So he never got out of the spotlight initially. So
exactly. So yeah. So again, when after Roe v. Wade is overturned and then Clarence Thomas come out with his statements about next we're going to look at contraception, we're going to look at gay marriage, we're going to look at whatever the case may be, and look at all of these.
I heard about the gay marriage. He said we need to take another look at that.
Yeah. Gay marriage, contraception. I mean, a whole list of things that So this was the first domino for them to knock down. They're going to overturn gay marriage. They're going to overturn.
That's next.
Contraception. They're going. You see, you didn't hear him say nothing about Loving versus Virginia, though. You didn't hear him say nothing about that. Interracial marriage. You didn't hear him say nothing about that.
Nah, he's not gonna touch that.
So then what's next? Is it going to be Brown versus Board of Education?
Oh, are we going back to segregation?
I mean, what? I mean, everything's on the table. Are we going to revisit the 13th? Are we going to revisit the 13th Amendment?
And the 14th and the 15th.
I mean,
you got a point. You got a point.
Chad,
and this was the whole plan all along when Trump got in office to make America great again. This was the whole plan.
Yep.
This was the whole plan to stack the court, to get the conservatives in there, to roll back some of these laws, to make it how it once was.
Exactly.
And I agree with Killer Mike when somebody said, somebody asked him, because they were talking about make America great again, and somebody said, when was America great again? He said, I'll tell you when it was great. During the Reconstruction period, 1865 to 1877. I think that was the period. Because that was the time when the slaves were free. We got the 40 acres and the mule. We got a chance to get into the Senate, the Congress, to help change laws. That 7-year period, I think it was 7 years. My math may be a little off, but during the Reconstruction period, you guys can Google when that period was. That was when America was great, because that was when they had the opportunity. They had the opportunity, and they didn't do it. But they had the opportunity to right their wrongs against the black people in America, and truly make this an America where it was for everybody. But that period was short-lived because white folks did not like what they were seeing with black folks being in positions of power in government and other things like that. So then the KKK arose out of that time frame. And a lot of other entities arose out of it, and they started scaring and killing black folks and intimidating them not to vote. Same thing today, except they're not riding around in horses. They just doing it in the Senate and in the local governments. Same thing, just different approach. Trying to intimidate or recarve out certain areas so that the vote is not impactful, so that they can get up in here and continue to do what they need to do. Nothing has changed except the approach.
Exactly.
The principle is the same. The mindset is the same. They're no longer sheets and things like that. Now they're business suits. Now they're in military uniforms. Now they're in police uniforms. Now they're in regular business suits. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
They're no longer showing up at the polls with guns, intimidating black folks. Now, like I said, they're in the local legislature trying to create and redistrict certain counties and cities so that the votes our black votes don't have an impact the way it would normally. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the principle is the same. The approach is different. And if you don't, that's why history is so important. I'm not trying to go off on a tangent, but we need to understand the history in America and how they did it, because we went from there. Then we went to the I think it's called the black codes, the slave codes or whatever. Then we went from there to Jim Crow. Excuse me. Then we went from Jim Crow to redlining, which is still going on today.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the mindset has always been the same. They just have to change up their approach. They can't keep the same approach.
Yeah, they just remix it.
That's it.
They remix it.
People are waking up. People are starting to see, and it ain't just black folks. It's everybody here. They're starting to see.
Right.
What's been going on and what's still going on. You know what I'm saying? So again, you got people in place in the Senate, in the Supreme Court, that have that make America great mentality. So now they're rolling back. They already hit Roe versus Wade. We see that. And like you said, what's next? We know what's next. Gay rights is about gay marriage is about to get revoked. Like you said, what else are they going to revisit the 13th Amendment? Are they going to revisit what was it? The education
Brown.
Yeah, Brown versus
Board of Education.
Like you said, everything is on the table now.
Everything's
this was
on
the
the table
first domino. Man, you just said it.
Yeah, it's the first domino.
This was the first domino to fall. This is the first of many more. So you think America is in an uproar now and divided? Wait until this starts going on.
That's what I'm saying. And it's funny when we're going to really see, especially when it comes to gay rights, gay marriage, what's going to happen then.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, those people, gay, LGBTQ plus, they get things done. When
they do, they back each other, and
when it comes to getting laws passed in their favor or getting things done in the government, they get things done. They wield a big sword when they need things to get done. It's going to be really funny, the reaction from that community. What are they going to do? You see what I'm saying? So it's gonna be really telling about what they do when that hits, and then we all know what the 13th Amendment is. If you don't, basically it outlaws slavery.
Unless
you're in prison.
You're in prison, right?
So if they even try to mess with the 13th Amendment, oh Lord have mercy.
Juneteenth is gone.
Oh my God, Juneteenth. What are we talking about? It's gonna be folk that don't look like us run up on us trying to claim us. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Where your papers?
Yeah, bruh, come on now. You know that's not gonna go down. You know that's not gonna go down smooth. No, sir, Bob. Yeah. So again, where does this stop? And again, I was so disappointed yesterday because my thing is this: for this to change, either and it's going to be more than get out and vote. Nah, get out. They have a 6-3. Conservatives have a 6-3 advantage in the Supreme Court. I don't care how much you vote. That's not going to change.
But see, this was why. But this is still why voting was so important.
There you
because
go.
If you get the right people in place in your local, state, and Senate and House, we wouldn't have the Supreme Court that we have now.
Exactly.
So you can't tell me, well now. But before, you can't. See, this is why voting is so important. And people talking, well, both sides is evil. You just vote for the lesser two evil. But at the same time, you're voting for which one can best help you.
Exactly.
Because number one, your behind is not running. So why are you sitting here? Well, that's why I don't vote, because and I got family members that are like that, and I'm like, God, man, you're killing me.
Right.
Because then when this happens, now you're sitting here fussing and wondering why it happened. This is why it happened. This has been their plan all along.
All along, yeah.
This has been the plan, and they start locally. They start in your city. They start in your state. Get the right people in place. Then they go higher. They go to the Senate. They go to the House. Now all the pieces are in place.
Yes,
now
sir.
You can go find your Supreme Court justice, and we can push him or her through with no problem. Because why? Now we can get our agenda going. Now we can roll back this. We can roll back that. It's going to take some time, but this is the master plan, and we just not catching up. This plan was put into place 10, 12 years ago, probably.
Oh, longer than that.
Longer than that. And but we just now got a copy of the playbook.
Yeah. But again, as of yesterday, per Biden, he's not even thinking about expanding the court. What are you doing? So basically, you're not going to do anything. You're going to do your little speech you did yesterday, and you're gonna fly to Germany and do whatever else. While women.
This was why the voters' rights bill. I mean, the bill to stop the filibustering was so important, and voters' rights. And he sat on it. I want to make it a bipartisan. I want to make it. They not budging.
Yeah, and excuse me. And then after he said that he was not going to expand the court, we're not going to do anything about the filibuster either. Okay, so basically, you're not going to do anything. That's what it basically means. I am so irritated at the spinelessness, if that's a word.
It will be
of this party.
This party. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
this Democratic Party, and whatever side of the aisle you on, that's your business. But they are so weak and spineless, and just you want to kumbaya and hold hands, and when they go low, we go high. No. There's no when they go low. You got to meet folk. Sometimes you got to meet folk where they are.
See, I think with the Democratic Party, they have done so much with the Republicans in the past that if they become bold, their skeletons might be laid bare by the Republicans of what they worked with them on in the past, and that's why they're sitting here so daggone passive. That's the only thing I can think of, man. Because I'm like, the Democratic Party. Oh my gosh, they need a new PR team, because we Democrats is terrible. The Republican game is so strong. Their PR is so on point. They will get on the same page about a lie and replicate that bad boy. Everybody's singing to the same tune.
Everybody's saying the same thing.
And will not deviate. I don't care if that bus is on a highway to hell. They ride in it, singing Kumbaya, going right to hell with it. That's how dedicated they are. I have to give them that.
Yeah, and it's just, and then you ask us to vote you in. We ask you, and then you don't do anything, and then you wonder why the turnout is so low.
So low,
It
yeah.
is because you haven't shown and proved when you were placed in a position of power to get something done. You did nothing.
Right. You did not fulfill your promise. And the thing about this that irks me with Biden is the fact that he made it very clear how he got into office. He gave shots out several times to the black women and men who voted. Because always when it's such a close race, it's always us that brings whichever party over the finish line, whether we voted or whether we didn't turn out and the other people won. It's always us. And then you want to, my thing is you have the audacity to give a national shout out to us, but then you slap us in the face or you turn your back on us when it comes to the voters registration. I mean, the voters' rights. And then you slap us in the face when you don't do anything about the filibuster.
Or you don't want to expand the court.
Or you don't want to expand the court.
Right. I mean, it's laughable to me. It's just, and it's sad because you have an opportunity to really try to make some changes and you just refuse not to, or you won't even hold, you say the Joe Mansions and the cinemas. The two that everybody talks about, they're the two that you won't even hold their feet to the fire and be like, look, you need to get yourself together. Either you're with us or you're against us. You're not even bold enough to do that.
Right.
So again, the court is stacked against, it's just not against black folk or folk of different hues. It's against white folk too, because what you don't understand, they don't care nothing about poor white folk either.
They don't.
And they're going to do everything. This court is going to roll back everything that was progressive, and the first domino was Roe v. Wade. They had to get that one off the board first.
And they did. But my thing is this, as a people, especially black people, let's not get used again. Because now, when you wanted your rights, when we wanted our rights, you teamed up with us. Because the Civil Rights Act did more for white women than it did for us.
Exactly.
Period. But once you got them, you left us alone. When we tried to get what was it we were trying to do? Because the gays jumped on board with us, or was it the Jews? I can't remember. But every time we tried to get something done and it was done, whatever group that was with us backed off of us.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're back again on our own.
Which we've always
been
on our own.
So now when it's time to get something, I want us as a people, when other groups start coming to us, when the alphabet group starts coming to us, when the white women start coming to us, when the Jews or whoever, we need to be a little bit more smart about how we do things. Let's not get used again. Because every time we get used, the law gets passed, everybody gets what they want, except for us. And then you back up off of us like you don't know us, like we're cancer.
Right.
So we need to be a little bit more smarter going forward, because when all this stuff starts rolling back, guess who's gonna be coming back to us? Talking about, let's join forces. Let's join forces.
Exactly.
Let's join forces, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But black folks, let's be a little bit more smarter, and especially when we want a candidate in the office who's gonna represent, what we need. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I remember it was Killer Mike that was saying that. He was like going to, representative, this is the list of our demands. If you can't meet them, then we can't get behind you.
Exactly.
And that's what we're going to have to start doing. These are our demands. You want our numbers? You want our support? This is what you're going to have to do.
Yep.
If you can't deliver on this, we can't partner. It's that simple.
It's that simple. I mean, as a people, we have to get to that point.
Because the alphabet team, they do that. The Jews, they do that. Businessmen, women, they do that.
Asians.
Called lobbyists. Yeah. Asians.
I mean,
they do it.
Exactly. So, as a people, we must at some point, like you said, Chad, we can't be used again.
Right.
We have to at some point have our own agenda.
And stop letting people come into our organizations taking over.
Chad, we need to move on. We need to move on, cause we'll be on this one all day.
Every time we have an organization
yeah.
that is well put together and making moves, and we really moving the needle on something, people always that don't look like us want to come in to help, but then they wind up trying to take over.
Yeah.
They never come to really help. They always come to take over. I ain't asked you to take over. If you want to help, get in the bus.
What that sound like, Chad? When they come. Okay. I'm just saying what that sound like. What you just said. Just you want to take. Okay. All right.
All right. We beat this horse up enough.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, man. It's just Roe v. Wade was the first domino, Chad. It's the first domino to fall to a time we're going backwards. We're going backwards, and
literally.
And those people that want us to go backwards are getting what they want. And again, Roe was the biggest domino on the table. So now with the big joker gone, now we're gonna move on to the little joker, which whether it be gay marriage or gay rights or whatever the case may be, that's the little joker. Then we're gonna go down to the deuce for all the spade players. Then what's the deuce? Is it gonna be Loving versus Virginia? Is it gonna be interracial marriage? Is it gonna be contraception? Is
Brown
it gonna
versus
be
Board?
Brown versus Board? What? I mean, let's look at it from a space perspective. The big joker's off the table. They done put the big joker on the forehead. Pop. They got that book. They done scooped up that book. Now they coming after the rest of the books.
Is the Supreme Court trying to run to Boston?
They trying to run a bruh. There it is. They trying to run a Boston for all us spade players.
Yeah,
they trying to run a Boston. They trying to run a Boston on us. And so I mean, and now there's nothing really we can do unless justice start passing away or you know what I'm saying, because that's a lifetime appointment.
And they were talking about that too. They need to. They were talking about voting on making that not a lifetime, but a term, a specific term.
They're not going to do
years,
it.
Yeah,
they're not going to do it because it has to be passed by Congress. So and it's
Republicans ain't touching that.
Exactly, and plus it's barely it's a 50-50 split. So they're not gonna do anything of any. So everything's on the table now as far as being overturned by the Supreme Court. Everything's on the table.
All right, folks. Well, we're gonna move on. We could be on this for a whole nother hour because there's so many different underlying meanings. Yeah. On this topic that we haven't even touched yet.
It's such a ripple effect by by Roe v. Wade being overturned. It's just going to start a ripple effect that's going to put us more towards a dictatorship / theocracy situation to being a free country, quote unquote free country.
Yeah, quote unquote. Yeah. All right, folks. The next topic, we probably won't touch on this long because we need to wrap up pretty soon. But anyway, there is a gentleman in Tempe, Arizona, that let me just say that the title of the article is "The Cops Allowed the Man to Drown." So basically, the synopsis is there was a brother and his wife. They were arguing, having as most couples do, they argue from time to time, but they were outside and they were by this lake or, whatever. And they were arguing and the cops was called out there. It was around 5:30 in the morning out there arguing. So the cops come out there and, they're talking to the couple. And of course, the cops want to run their names through the system to see if they have warrants or anything like that. I don't understand why that's necessary when you just got two people having a disagreement. There were no, it wasn't physical. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was fighting. They, just had an argument. But anyway. So anyway, they ran the cops ran their names through the system. Nothing. They were clean, and the cops were like, "Hey, so what's going on?" So they were having an argument, and then I guess after the argument, the brother, his name was Sean Bickings. He basically told the cops, "Hey, am I free to go now? I want to go for a swim." They were at by the lake, and the cops told him, "Say, hey, you're not allowed to swim in the lake," but he jumped into the lake. Now, I found out later that the brother couldn't swim. So I'm like, why is this dude jumping in the lake? But that's another piece to the puzzle that probably will reveal itself later on. But so he jumps into the lake and, he's in there, and he starts to drown, and he's calling for help, and the wife is arguing with the cops like, what I can't understand is why y'all standing here watching this man drown when he can't swim. And the guy was pleading for help out there in the water, like, please help me, I'm drowning. And one officer responds to Bickings by saying, okay, I'm not jumping in after you. And then it was also said that the cops were saying that the other cop, I guess it was two of them out there, one was going for the boat. No, the other one said he was going for the boat, but nobody went to go get the boat. Moments later, after another cop instructed, another cop instructed Bickings to head over to a pylon. I think there was a pylon out in the water too that he could grab on or whatever. But he was pleading for his life. Please help me. You know, I can't touch. Oh my God, I'm going to drown. Help me, please help me. But they would not jump in to save this brother. Now the officers were put on, of course, you know the routine. They were put on temporary admin paid leave, and that's really the gist of it. And from my understanding, with the chief, this is not in the article though, but the chief was basically saying that you know, the cops did everything right. They were not trained, you know, for stuff like this. So they sat up there and watched this man drown. And I'm thinking, okay, even if you couldn't go in, or if you felt like you didn't want to go in, you couldn't find a rope or a stick or, you know, something to, you know, kind of help this brother get to the side or get back to the beachfront, or, you know, whatever it was. You just stood there. I mean, what kind of person? I mean, that's a real cold-hearted person to stand there and watch another human being drown. Now, I guarantee you, if it was a child, they would have tried to help some kind of way. But they let this man, they stood there and just watched him. And the wife was like, I'm in distraught because he's drowning right now in front of you and you won't help.
And to add to that, Chad, they detained the wife. They put her in cuffs. They
Correct.
put her in cuffs because she was begging them to please help my husband. So I guess she become too belligerent, begging for her husband's life. So they put her in cuffs.
Right. Let's not forget the important part, Pete. Let's not forget the important part. Because I know people are like, well, we hear this all the time. The very next week, they saved a drowning dog. Let that marinate.
Same police.
The very next week, they saved a drowning dog, but they would not do anything to help this brother once he jumped in the water to save him. Not a rope, no kind of stick, no kind of device or thing to help the brother stay afloat until they could get some help. They just stood there and watched this man drown. What kind of lowlife do you need to be to stand there and watch somebody else plead for their life? And you say, okay, I'm not going to come in after you. That's fine.
Chad, how many times do I have to say on this podcast? Black life is worth nothing to these people. Black life is worth nothing. And they just proved it. They watched a black man drown in a lake with his wife pleading to them, please save my husband. And you detain her and cuff her because she's begging you to save her husband. The very next week, the same lake, may not have been the same police officers, but the same police jumped in head first to save a dog that they thought was drowning. Again, they prove to us on a daily that our lives mean nothing. Black life means Nothing.
No, Pete. But they say all lives matter. It's not Black Lives Matter. All lives matter, Pete. Prime example.
Black life
I would
don't mean
like to
nothing.
introduce into evidence.
There it is. I mean,
You said all lives matter? Explain this to me. Now, it wasn't like they weren't there and they were racing to the scene trying to get there. They stood there and watched.
But this same Supreme Court we just finished talking about, last segment, is the same Supreme Court that said officers, the police, are not obligated to help you.
They're just there to protect property.
They're not obligated to help you. Let's go back to Uvalde a couple weeks back with these babies getting killed and murdered and you standing outside and you the police now, you supposed to bust up in there and help the children and kill the assailant and all this other stuff, but you standing outside the door for an hour waiting for a key to a door we found out that's unlocked, and you just could have walked in. And we didn't have ballistic shields, and then we find out you did have ballistic shields and
body armor
and you had AR-15s, but you still stood outside because you were scared. And then on top of that, they're not obligated to save us as people. Not only Black folk, they're not obligated to save babies.
But a mom,
brown babies.
But a mom bust up in there, saved her baby.
Get her two, and we out.
And dip. She was able to get in and get her kids, but the cops couldn't get up in there.
But again, our lives don't mean nothing to them. Our lives mean nothing. Whether it's Eric Garner, Michael Brown, George Floyd, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland. I mean, Amadou Diallo. Black life means nothing, Chad, to the police. They would much rather shoot us than save us. They would much rather kill us than save us. I mean, it's just that simple. And this is another prime example where 1 week you allow a Black man to drown in this lake, and then the very next week,
in the same lake,
you jump in and save a dog that you think is drowning. And then you take pictures with the dog and all it. Our lives mean nothing to the police. They mean nothing at all. I mean, it doesn't matter what the situation is. That you could run up on a 12-year-old with a toy gun and not ask questions and just destroy it and just slaughter a 12-year-old Black child. Tamir Rice. Slaughtered it. This child got a toy gun. You didn't ask no question. You jumped out the car, guns blazing. 12-year-old. I mean, that's what it is, bro. Our lives mean nothing to them. And again, like I said, we there's nothing to talk. We can't talk long on this because the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, there's really nothing else to be said. This
is another example of our lives not mattering to people or mattering to the police anyway. Because again, they would rather shoot us, kill us, lock us up than help us. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is.
Well, our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to the Bickerings family. Bickings, yeah, the Bickings family. I'm really praying for the wife. That's gonna take a lot. To sit there and watch your husband, and there's nothing you can do. Cops ain't gonna let you jump in and help or do anything. You watched your husband die, then you got arrested. Now you got to put him to rest. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
That's a lot to deal with.
That's trauma.
That is severe.
That's severe trauma. That's what it is.
That's some stuff that it's etched in your brain. She's probably gonna have nightmares for a while.
Oh yeah.
Waking up to that. That's gonna be crazy. Blessings to that sister and her family and his family. Hopefully they can find some peace and then be able to continue to move on. But it's sad.
Yep.
Really, really sad. Really, really sad. All right, folks, we're gonna move on to the Black Invention of the Week. This is actually fairly new. A few years ago, matter of fact, it was he's probably 16, 17 now, but it was a 10-year-old boy in Texas. He invents a device to stop deaths of children in hot cars.
Wow.
Yeah. Bishop Curry the fifth. Back then he was a little kid with some ideas, but he was currently working on a device again that could help prevent children from dying in hot cars. Overall, the number of children who died in hot cars increased across the country a few years ago, and Texas had the highest number of cases. Sadly for Bishop, the issue also hits close to home because a baby died in a minivan last year outside a home near his own family's home in McKinney, Texas, or whatever. With that incident, he was inspired to create a device he calls Oasis, which would attach to a car seat and detect if a child is left inside the vehicle, prompting it to blow cool air until parents or the police are notified. It would be a dream to have lots of inventions that will save lives, the 10-year-old said at the news station. The device is still in the design phase, but it's developing by leaps and bounds. Bishop already has a provisional patent for the device, and his dad's employer, Toyota, has taken notice of it.
Wow.
So, yeah, this was back in 2017. So about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's about 15 now, 15, 16. So I'm interested to see how far along this invention has come. Again, the young man, if you want to, look him up and see what he's doing now with it, his name is Bishop Curry, Curry, Bishop Curry the fourth. And so he's really looking at trying to save these kids because, it's easy to point the finger at a parent and get mad. How can you leave a kid in the car? But until you raise kids, your days can be hectic. You trying to do this, you trying to do that, and the kids back there asleep, and you want to get in and run to the supermarket or whatever. So I get it. Thank God I've never done that before. I think that the worst I've ever done was we get the baby bag ready and we leave the house and she's sitting in the car seat on the floor in the living room, and we get into the car like, wait a minute, where's the baby?
Wow.
We had to go back in the house and get the baby. She's in the car seat sitting in the living room floor. But I'm just saying, I feel bad for those parents that have gone through that and it wound up tragic.
Yeah,
a lot of times, we're able to be like, and go back. So it does happen. These parents are not mean. They're not. It's just life. It happens.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this young man's invention will take off, not necessarily just with Toyota, but it becomes a standard in all cars.
Right.
To to help people out, with their kids or whatever. So, all right, Pete, what's up with the book of the week, man?
The book of the week is coming from one of my favorite authors, Howard Bryant, and he's just released a book on autobiography on one of my favorite baseball player of all time, Rickey Henderson. The name of the book is called Rickey, The Life and Legend of an American Original. Again, the name of the book is Rickey, The Life and Legend of an American Original. Again, Rickey Henderson is a all-time great in Major League Baseball. A different dude. He was a different cat. If you don't know much about Rickey Henderson, Google him. He was a different cat. He talked about himself in third person. He's the greatest leadoff hitter to ever do it, and he's probably, with all of his tools, he's probably top five, and he's top five all time for me. Not only being my all time favorite player, but yeah, he is a giant and a legend in baseball. I think he played for 9 teams. I think he ended up finally retiring at the age of I think 49 or 50. I mean, he was playing like
wow.
he was playing like AAA baseball. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's how much he loved the game. So yeah, Ricky Henderson was a all-time great. And again, the book is by Howard Bryant. He has multiple books out, sports books out, about different sports and things of that sort. Again, the name of the book is Ricky, The Life and Legend of an American Original.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Definitely a must have. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we will move on to the Bible verse of the week. And it's very simple. And if we all do this, I don't think we'd see half the problems that we're seeing in our world right now. And it's coming from 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 14. And it reads, "Let all that you do be done in love." It's that simple. Every decision, every move you make, let all that you do be done in love. If it's done in love, it's done right. Because love binds everything together in perfect harmony. That's what love is. God is love. So let all that you do be done in love. Just a little something for our evangelicals out there. No shots. Anything else, Pete, before we wrap up? You know, I got to give him Garvey real quick before we end this thing.
Again, as I always say, protect yourself, protect your loved ones, love on your people, man. Love your family. Be careful out here in these streets, man. We're in a very tumultuous time right now, whether it be in the streets or it be in the law, in the government.
Right.
We're in a very tough time right now. So be careful to protect yourself at all times. Love on your people. Love yourself first and foremost. Because if you don't love yourself, there's no way you can love others. So again, and I didn't get to say it when you were doing the inventor of the week. Man, we are great people, man. Good,
people are great.
Man, our people are great, man. Our people are great, man. And the black man, woman, and child. We are a great people. We are a great people.
Indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Our Voice 360. And before I leave, I just thought about this. I got to give you Marcus Garvey. I got to give it to you.
Yes, sir.
So in the famous words of Marcus Garvey, and I quote, "Never forget that intelligence rules the world and ignorance carries the burden. Therefore, remove yourself as far as possible from ignorance and seek as far as possible to be intelligent." Okay, even though you think these people out here that's doing these laws are stupid, no, there's some intelligence behind it. It's just not in your favor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we have to run as far as possible from ignorance, meaning lack of study, lack of understanding.
Yep.
And seek as far as possible to be intelligent.
Yes,
so
sir.
we got to understand the playbook before we can play. So we got to understand what they're doing and why.
Yes, sir.
It's a chess game. You got to understand what and why so you can make your move.
Exactly.
All right. Well, again, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our ways. Take care. Be blessed. Be safe. And we are out.
Peace.